Peacock TV Spoilers. We've been tracking this for weeks, and I am going to say it right out of the gate with absolute, undeniable certainty. I am 100% convinced that Sophia Choi is still alive. Yes, you heard me correctly. I am putting my flag in the ground right now and refusing to budge. Jada Hunter might have just informed Amy Choi that the river search has been officially called off, and the Salem Police Department might be ready to stamp a presumed dead label on this entire tragic saga. But we know better. This is days of our lives. Let's be real for a second. In Salem, a missing body does not mean a tragic end. It means a shocking return during the sweeps period is just around the corner. We are currently watching E.J. DiMera and Abe Carver deal with the literal resurrection of Lexi Carver after years of believing she was gone. So why on earth would anyone believe that a teenager who vanished into a river is actually gone for good? I personally believe that the writers are setting us up for one of the most explosive returns of the decade, and the breadcrumbs are all there if you know exactly where to look. Let us take a deep dive into the absolute monster that is Kristen DiMera. I have a massive love and hate relationship with Kristen DiMera. I passionately hate her for what she has done to a young girl, but I absolutely love the chaotic, ruthless villainy she brings to our screens. Can you believe it? Kristen DiMera actually tricked this young girl, lured her into a false sense of security with the promise of funding a brand new life in Paris, and then viciously bashed her over the head with a rock. That's crazy. It is one thing to scheme in the boardroom and manipulate corporate shares, but it is a completely different level of depravity to attempt to murder a teenager in cold blood. Kristen DiMera knows perfectly well that Rachel Black considers Sophia Choi to be a close friend. The psychological damage Kristen DiMera is risking, inflicting on Rachel Black, is astronomical. If you ask me, this is a huge mistake, because Kristen DiMera is letting her impulsive, violent tendencies override her maternal instincts, which is a classic callback to the darkest days of Stefano DiMera. Stefano DiMera used to dispose of people like they were garbage, and now his daughter is carrying on that horrific legacy. And speaking of psychological damage, we have to talk about how Kristen DiMera is completely unraveling behind closed doors. She is being haunted by Sophia Choi in her dreams, and even seeing terrifying visions of the girl while she is wide awake. This is a massive tell. In the soap opera universe, when a villain is haunted by the ghost of their victim, it almost always foreshadows that the victim is actually breathing and plotting their revenge. Kristen DiMera thought she could just double-cross Sophia Choi and wash her hands of the entire mess, but the guilt, or perhaps the immense paranoia, is eating her alive. I personally believe that Kristen DiMera's subconscious knows she failed to finish the job. She did not check for a pulse properly. She let the dark river take the body, and now that monumental mistake is going to come back to haunt her in the flesh. We also need to look at the historical incompetence of the Salem Police Department. Jada Hunter is a fantastic detective, but the moment she told Amy Choi that the search was off and she was not hopeful the body would be recovered, my alarm bells started ringing. How many times has Rafe Hernandez or Jada Hunter called off a search only for the victim to wash up on an island or be held hostage in a secret DiMera compound? The lack of a corpse is the ultimate soap opera loophole. Sophia Choi could have easily pulled herself onto the riverbank miles downstream, completely bypassing the police search grid. Meanwhile, The collateral damage of this entire situation is tearing Salem apart. Specifically, when we look at Amy Choi. Shi Ne Nielson is delivering some absolutely heartbreaking performances right now. Amy Choi is utterly devastated, grieving the loss of her daughter, but she fundamentally refuses to give up hope. She refuses to accept that Sophia Choi is dead, and honestly, a mother's intuition is rarely wrong on this show. But instead of directing her intense fury at the actual culprit, Amy Choi is projecting all of her blinding rage onto Holly Jonas. We recently saw Amy Choi march right into the Kyriakis mansion to confront Holly Jonas, screaming that she does not believe a single word that comes out of Holly Jonas's mouth. Kate Black had to step up and bravely comfort Holly Jonas, but the tension in that room was suffocating. Amy Choi is a woman pushed to the absolute brink, and she will not rest until someone pays for her daughter's fate. This brings me to my hot take for the day, and I know this is going to spark a massive debate in the comments, so get ready. While I fiercely condemn Kristen DiMera for attempted murder, we have to admit that Sophia Choi was a walking nightmare. Let's be real for a second. Sophia Choi was a vicious cyberbully who orchestrated her own social demise long before Kristen DiMera picked up that rock. She turned her friends against her through her own toxic, sociopathic behavior. Holly Jonas and Ariana Horton are sitting around discussing their complicated feelings, and you can tell there is a profound sense of relief that their tormentor is gone. Sophia Choi was truly sick, and her grievous actions pushed everyone to the breaking point. I am not saying she deserved to be attacked by Kristen DiMera, but I am saying that Amy Choi needs to take off the rose-colored glasses and realize that her daughter was a dangerous menace. Now, let us weave in some predictive lore about what happens next, because the internal logic of Days of Our Lives points to a spectacular climax. Sophia Choi originally planned to start over in Paris, but right now, she is likely lurking in the shadows of Salem, trying to stay out of trouble. Does Sophia Choi realize the absolute predicament she is in? Think about it. If she reveals herself to the police, she has pending criminal charges waiting for her because of her horrific actions and her failed assassination attempt on Johnny DiMera. But if she stays hidden, her survival depends entirely on whether the Salem Police Department or Kristen DiMera finds her first. It is a terrifying game of cat and mouse, and Sophia Choi is trapped in a prison of her own making. And you won't believe what happens next if my theory holds true. What if Sophia Choi decides to attend her own memorial service? Amazing. There is a classic trope in literature and soap operas where the presumed dead character sneaks into the back of the church just to see who actually shows up and what they have to say. Sophia Choi is a deeply insecure, narcissistic teenager. She is truly hurt by the negative comments people have made about her. I can absolutely see her pulling a black veil over her face, slipping into the back row of the memorial, and listening to Holly Jonas, Kate Black, and Ariana Horton struggle to say something nice about her. Will she crash her own memorial and reveal that she is alive to the entire town? Or will she simply listen to the service, realize that her mother, Amy Choi, is the only one truly mourning her, and then get on with her original plans to flee Salem forever? But here's the kicker. We cannot forget about Xander Cook Kyriakis. Kristen DiMera is currently trying to hire Xander Cook Kyriakis to finish the hitman job that Sophia Choi failed to execute. Kristen DiMera wants Johnny DiMera dead, If Sophia Choi is lurking in the shadows, she might stumble upon this deadly conspiracy. Imagine the absolute power Sophia Choi would hold if she realizes Kristen DiMera is recruiting Xander Cook Kyriakis. Sophia Choi could use this explosive information to blackmail Kristen DiMera for millions, securing her escape to Europe once and for all, while leaving Kristen DiMera completely at her mercy. The irony of Kristen DiMera being blackmailed by the teenager she tried to murder is exactly the kind of poetic justice we need right now. Peacock TV Spoilers. The stakes have never been higher. The legacy of the DiMera family is drenched in blood, but Kristen DiMera has severely underestimated the survival instincts of a desperate teenager. I firmly stand by my theory. Sophia Choi is breathing. She is watching, and she is waiting for the perfect moment to strike back. When she finally steps out of the shadows, the fallout is going to destroy Kristen DiMera and send massive shockwaves through the Choi, Jonas, and DiMera families. So, I have to ask you, the best fans in the world, do you think Sophia Choi will crash her own memorial service and expose Kristen DiMera in front of all of Salem? Or will she use her secret survival to extort the DiMera fortune and vanish forever? Let me know your wildest theories down in the comments below. And if you love deep dives into Salem's juiciest secrets, make sure you smash that subscribe button and join the Peacock TV Spoilers family. We will see you next time.